Chris Waters is a gentleman who wrote this book, The Gamer's Bucket List, the 50 video games to play before you die. It's pretty much if you have any kind of interest in video gaming whatsoever, there's a lot of stuff out there. You don't know what's good and what's bad, and you can't just go by commercials and hashtags and Reddit alone saying, oh, this game is the best. Pretty much every game out there is the best and the worst for somebody. This is pretty much just a basic guide of some of the things that maybe you didn't know about or maybe you should play. Chris, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, Eric. Thanks for having me on.
No problem, sir. You're out in California, right?
Actually, today I'm in San Antonio, Texas, because PAX South is just getting underway.
Oh,
That's
right.
Yeah, it starts today.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that you didn't recognize some of the games on the list, because that was part of the idea for the Gamer's Bucket List, was I want, games to get out there and get some attention that, maybe don't have the advertising dollars or the word-of-mouth popularity behind them to sort of get them into a bunch of different corners of the world.
Was it that, or were you just trying to throw some weird titles in there just to see if people would bite? Because really, I don't know anything about Super Meat Boy.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Man. Oh, all right. Well, picture this. You play, Super Mario Brothers, right?
Right.
Now,
Is this like that Flappy
Super Mario
Birds or
Brothers,
something?
Made by a sadistic individual where every wrong move is just going to kill you real quick.
Okay.
Kind of like Super Meat Boy, but it feels so good to play. And also, your enemy in this game, so you're a little chunk of meat. You're trying to save your girlfriend, who's just covered in bandages. She's also a chunk of meat. But your enemy is the evil Dr. Fetus. He's a fetus in a jar wearing a monocle and a top hat.
Wow. I'm sold.
I'm sold.
He
I'm
sold
in.
it.
You know what?
I thought you guys would like that.
You know
So
what
you got
this
the fetus
sounds
in
like?
jars.
Remember when people realized they could hex edit Wolfenstein on the PC, and they would just put weird shit on the walls and change the villains and
Andre
stuff like
the
that?
Giant tags everywhere.
Right, Beavis and Butthead are the soldiers, and yeah, that's what it sounds. That's what it looks like too.
Good stuff, man. Super Meat Boy. It'll challenge you.
I did. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, the thing I liked about your list, other than I didn't recognize a bunch of the games, and I definitely want to check them out, but you made me really rethink about some games that I think I kind of have forgotten about or remembered really enjoying playing at the time, but then kind of they got lost in the ethos. Final Fantasy was the one that jumped out to me because I'm going through the list, right? And I'm reading a bunch of your stuff, and I'm like, really, Final Fantasy 6? Why 6? Because 7 is the one that everybody, seems to really hold on to. And 3 is my other personal favorite. But then I'm reading your bit on 6, and I'm like, yeah, man, Kefka really was an asshole. And that game was really good. It was a lot of fun to play.
Dude, I'm so glad you had that sensation, because I had that myself writing the book. So I made the list, right? And then as I'm writing about these games that I know well or I remember just really loving, I'm getting all hyped about the games again while I'm writing it. It was a really fun sensation and kind of validating, all right, yeah, I'm getting hyped writing about this game. It definitely belongs on the list.
That was awesome. I mean, Super Metroid was another one. For some reason, Super Metroid isn't in my normal list of games when I'm thinking about it. But I'm reading it, and I'm like, yeah, fucking A, man, Super Metroid. I want to go back and play all of these games. Yeah. I don't have any consoles right now, but I'm going to get one.
Hey, life is long.
One game I was happy to see on this list here, too, was, and it's not the original that I remember playing, but The Secret of Monkey Island. This was the game that was hidden in the computers at my school library in junior high.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was a LucasArts game, right?
Yeah, you got it.
Right. So Monkey Island, whenever that's what, early 90s, yeah, was somehow hidden in the library computers, and you didn't know that unless somebody kind of told you. So you would go in there, and they always had the one key where if somebody was coming around, you hit the key, and then it had a fake screen that would pop on to look like you were doing some kind of spreadsheet.
It was a WordPerfect document.
Computer lab scene, so good.
Yeah, Monkey Island is not a game that I think, at least I thought many people really enjoyed and played. I mean, I didn't realize it was on, for this version here, it's on the platforms not platforms, they're on consoles. But this was a game that was originally just a PC game.
That's true, yeah. That's why I made it the special edition, because it's more broadly available. And that was one of the things I wanted to do with a lot of these games. We've been talking about some of the old classics that still endure, but the list is largely are games that are a little bit more modern, I wanted people to be able to actually play them. I don't want you to pick up the book, read, get hyped about a game, and then not be able to find it anywhere. So yeah, the special edition, it has like some new graphics and some new voice acting, but you can just press a button and switch to the old graphics and old style, which still looks super good. And the thing about that game is it's super funny. And that's something that I think people don't talk about enough in gaming, is like when a game is funny, it just makes the whole thing so much more enjoyable.
Right.
We were laughing about Dr. Fetus earlier, but games like Portal 2...
Portal 2 is hilarious.
Yep.
The writing throughout that, you're cracking up, and it's such a good time.
We had, on the morning show, we had J.K. Simmons on not too long ago. And I was wearing my custom lemon grenade shirt where it says, "Life gives you lemons, make life take it back." And I was wearing the shirt and I was talking to him about it. And he says that is probably one of the most fun roles he's ever had. And this is an Oscar winner. And he said that video game was one of the best things I've ever done.
I think you can hear it, man. Every line he says, he's just like relishing his total absurdity.
For those who aren't aware, in Portal 2, J.K. Simmons plays a character, Cave Johnson. Now, you never meet the character, but you just hear his voice recordings over a PA, or if you look at a certain display or something, there's a button to press, and then there's a pre-recorded message from him, and he's always angry and he's out of his mind. Like, he starts off normal, but as you're going through the game, he starts losing his shit, and it becomes funnier and funnier.
Yeah, he's like this crazy industrialist who has no morals and like unlimited budget and weird science stuff, and it's just a mixture for J.K. Simmons to go off. It's awesome.
He's like a Batman that doesn't solve crimes.
There's a few more games I want to talk about on this list, but I do want to ask you a couple of things. One, as I did notice that you went for a more broad appeal, were there any games that were specifically PC-based that you were considering putting on this list, but you didn't?
You mean like specifically to play on PC?
Yeah, there are some games that came out originally on PC and then eventually wound up on maybe Nintendo or Xbox or something like that. Maniac Mansion was one when I was a kid. I loved it. Was another Lucas Arts game, and Zack McCracken, which was another Lucas Arts game.
What a great name.
Yeah, they were awesome. And Maniac Mansion was a PC game, and for a while, that's the only place you could play it. And then they made a Nintendo version, which was all right. It wasn't the best. The PC version was still better. And it came with the guide. If you bought the strategy guide, you had a red strip of cellophane that you had to put over it in order to get the clues on how to play the damn game.
Yeah. Oh, I remember those in the old instruction books.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Like hide the key. You'd be like, turn to page 3, line 5, word 2. That's the code. That was like old school DRM anti-piracy stuff.
Right. So what PC games did you consider but didn't put on there because they didn't have a multi-platform?
I don't think I remember excluding any PC games because they weren't available on consoles. If all the PC games on there are available on consoles, well, like Civilization 5 is in there. You're not playing that on an Xbox or a PlayStation. But the games I think that people will notice the biggest lack of from PC are two genres that are super popular these days, MMOs and MOBAs. So these are,
What are those?
A game like World of Warcraft is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game. Right? You go there, you play your character. MOBA is a game like League of Legends or Dota 2, which I don't know if you guys have heard these names, but there are tournaments being played regularly where millions and millions of dollars are on the line for the winning team of 5.
Yeah.
So
what?
These are games that
I've never heard of these.
Dude.
Oh, yeah.
I know League of Legends, yeah.
It's insane. I watched one of the Vice special on it, did like an hour-long special about like this competitive gaming leagues. People just die like training for these games, like to beat this stuff. And if you lose, it's horrible. Like it's so crazy.
It's tough. I mean, it's super intense. These teams live in houses and they train for hours and hours a day because there's big money to be won. Like you can make a lucrative living if you're at the top.
Is it real money or is it like Bitcoin money?
I think they pay out in real money.
Okay.
Itchy and scratchy
like the
bucks.
tournament prizes, all these teams are sponsored. They're wearing shirts. They look like NASCAR drivers because they've got all these logos.
Are they dressed like poker douchebags where they got their glasses on and headphones and?
They definitely have the headphones. But yeah, it's so those games are like super interesting and like millions of people love them. But I tried to make the book something that like most of the games don't depend on an internet connection to play.
Right.
Those are ones that people have hollered at me on Twitter and said, what are you doing here? How do you not have League?
There's some games on here that seem to be no-brainers, like Super Mario Galaxy 2, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, The Sims is on there, Grand Theft Auto 5. Elder Scrolls, I tried playing that when that came out, and I realized there were so many distractions in this game. Just like my fear of World of Warcraft, I can't play this game because I'm like, there's too many other things to do. I'll never get anything done, and I'll lose track of time, and I'll probably wind up, forgetting to go to sleep or going to work.
That was probably an accurate prediction.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Skyrim, people play that game for hundreds and hundreds of hours and are still doing new things. And a game like that, being, if you play the PC version, you can download mods that not only do some of them like add a bunch of new adventures and new characters, but some of them also just mess with the code. So all the dragons, instead of roaring, yell, "Oh yeah!" like.
That's awesome.
Really delightful. And all the crabs wear top hats.
As
People
they
are
should.
still playing that game years and years later, and I hear you. I have played a bunch of Skyrim. I got nowhere near finishing that.
But it looks like a game. That's why I bought it. It looks like a game I would love. One of those open, what they call sandbox games, where it's open ended. But you get caught up. Like, I've been making arrow bundles for 9 days here, and I still haven't advanced to the castle. I'm chasing chickens, or I'll keep pestering the farmers or something like that. It's like there's all this other stuff to do, and you still haven't done. It's like Grand Theft Auto too. I never play the main stories. I'm too busy, crashing the helicopter into buildings and trying to launch the boat out of the ravine.
Absolutely, dude. But that's the thing. Just because you're not following the main story doesn't mean you're not having a blast with the game.
Oh, I'm loving the game. I just never. They're like, "Oh, did you get to this part where the gangsters?" No, I didn't play the game. I kept running over children. I'm sorry. Dead Space is on this list here. Oh, by the way, we're talking with Chris Waters. The book is called The Gamer's Bucket List. You can get it on Amazon or wherever books are sold. Talking about 50 games that you should play before you die. His suggestions of what is a lot of stuff that people know about, a lot of stuff that people don't know about. But you have Dead Space on there, and I loved the Dead Space series up until the third one. I punched out on the third one, never even bothered finishing it. What did you think of it?
Of the third one or the first one?
The whole franchise.
Well, I think Dead Space is like a masterclass in horror gameplay, and I'm not a dude who really goes in for scary movies or anything. I'm super easily manipulated. I get scared shitless.
Yeah.
And that stuff haunts my dreams.
Yeah,
But with Dead Space, it was so many people raving about it whose opinion I trusted, and I got into it a little bit and played. I'm not ashamed to say I did not finish that game, but I got real far into it, and God, it works its magic on you, and it's just so immersive and so frightening. It's the kind of game you need to play with the lights off. If you have headphones, play with your headphones on, because the sound design in that game, like in any good horror movie, is so integral to creating the atmosphere.
You hear stuff behind you in this game. You're playing. First of all, before you even start the game, it makes you adjust the picture settings before you can even play the game. And then while you're playing, you'll be walking somewhere, and then you hear behind you, and you're sitting on a couch against the wall. And you're like, what? You keep looking around, and then shit just jumps out of nowhere.
I can't play horror games. Well,
I'm so sold on this game right now. I want to leave and go play it. I want to go play this.
If I still have them, I'll give them to you.
I'm
You can have it.
scarred from Resident Evil.
Oh, I
the
love
first
Resident
one.
Evil.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, "You have to play Resident Evil. You have to play Resident Evil." I'm like,
Resident
"All right, I'll play it.
Evil 2.
I don't like horror, but I'm going to play." And I remember the scene. I'm walking down the hallway, and some sort of zombie fucking dog jumps through the glass window next to me, and I was like, "Nope, I'm done. I'm done."
remember
Put
that.
the controller down, turn the lights back on. I'm done. I had to tap out, so I can't do horror games. I'm going to take your word for it on Dead Space.
So you never did Silent Hill,
Nope.
where the zombie babies come at you and the guy with the triangle head?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Most
that
zombies
either.
I get for in video games is Plants vs. Zombies. That's where I
Smiling
stop.
ones.
Yeah, that's it.
Another game on here is probably one of my favorite games of all time is Red Dead Redemption.
Ooh, yeah.
We talk about it every week on this show.
Now, I didn't think when this game came out that I would be I'm not a big Western fan, and I didn't think that this game would appeal to me as much as it did. To the point when I started playing another game that I never finished the story because I was online in the multiplayer world. This game, so open-ended. It was always jam-packed on the servers. There's so many people there. And we'd put together our own little groups. You'd hide in the woods or in towns and stuff and just sniping people. It was more fun to play the multiplayer than it was to play the actual story. Now, the story is great, but the multiplayer was where it was at.
Yeah, you got into that. I mean, they sold that so well. Just to round up a posse and just go out and cause some mayhem and, like blast off your 6-shooters or your Winchester. I mean, so much fun to run around. I actually didn't play too much of the multiplayer in that one because I found that was one of those games where, like, whatever kind of mood I was in, I could go into that single-player world and, like, be in that mood. So if I wanted to cause a ruckus, I could go into town and get in shootouts in the saloon. If I wanted to be a total ass, I would, like, go lasso a dude and drag him through a cactus field. If I was feeling like just calm, I could like wander up the hillside and like watch a beautiful sunset over the Rio Grande. Like it was just one of these games that I was all in on.
And it was a lot of fun too when you figured out the glitches. And then when they got rid of the glitches, you were like, God damn it. But you could like do weird things where you'd walk through the wall and you'd be hiding in the house that they couldn't enter, and you're just sniping everybody, and they're all like, where the hell is this guy coming from? And yeah, it spent many, many, many hours. I should have been doing something more constructive playing Red Dead Redemption.
Speaking of glitches, do yourself a favor sometime and Google Donkey Lady Red Dead Redemption.
Okay. We're going to look at that during the break.
It's all right, but it is the animation got mixed up between like a human character and a donkey character, and it's good.
Chris, when you're out promoting this book and talking to other outlets and what have you, what are some of the games that you keep hearing that people wish that you put on this list?
That I wish that I had put on this list. People have definitely come at me about BioShock not being on the list.
Yes, BioShock Infinite is an amazing game.
Yeah, definitely. People have come at me about Infinite, about the original, and they're definitely like, come on, dude. It's so, because the story of that whole world is so fascinating and beautiful, and some of the philosophies behind that make it, I think, pretty intriguing to people. And also, you can shoot bees out of your arms. So they've sort of taken the caveat of I sort of steered away from online stuff to heart. But people still come and are like, how do you not have a Call of Duty on there, something that's super popular, or a Counter-Strike? Lately, I've been getting a few Metal Gear Solid fans.
Oh yeah,
I love Metal Gear Solid.
Especially with the release of Metal Gear Solid 5 last year, and that game was just epic and very fascinating in the way that series is, and totally cool, and you can you run around with your little dog buddy who gets an eye patch, and
Nice.
The dog can carry a knife in its mouth and stab people. It's great.
Man, I just remembered how much I loved Metal Gear Solid now that you said that.
And he does a great job. Chris, you do a great job of really writing your little synopses. Like, you really sum them up like perfectly in the perfect amount of space without it getting too bogged down.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
So now I want to know when you're going to write 50 more games that you should play now that medical science has granted us longer lives.
Yeah.
Get my publisher on the line. I'll send him a request. But yeah, that is something I wanted to do with the book, was write it in a way that is a short synopsis. You can read a thing about a game and you're not bogged down. I wrote it in a way. It sounds like a lot of you guys have played a lot of video games, but it's also written in a way that people who haven't played a ton of games can understand and can, not only like know what the game's about, but like understand like how, like what's cool about it, So I wrote it in a way that like I wanted to cast the net wide just to like let everyone be interested if they're interested.
I've never played Spelunky or Gone Home, but after going through the book, those are two games that I now feel I need to seek out. So you've done a good job.
You got to, man. And hit me up on Twitter at CT Waters when you do. I'll be interested to hear how it goes.
Absolutely.
Lewis, you had a question?
Yeah, Chris, you put Grand Theft Auto 5 on there,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a huge fan of Grand Theft Auto 5, but I was just wondering what specifically made you want to put that on the list.
Put 5 specifically over another Grand Theft Auto? Or
Yeah, like a Vice City or something.
I think that the fact that it was the most modern of them made it sort of an easier choice, because going back to those sort of older Grand Theft Autos and then comparing it to Grand Theft Auto 5, you realize it's leaps and bounds ahead in terms of not just graphical fidelity, but in terms of the amount of things you can do, the amount of people that are in the world, the amount of places you can go in this world, and it just is so much more diverse and like fleshed out. And I also really like the fact that Grand Theft Auto 5, you can switch between 3 protagonists. So you can be Franklin, you can be Michael, the sort of suburban dude, and then you can be Trevor, who is a total maniac.
He's
This
awesome.
dude is like runs meth labs, and, like it just is like a totally unhinged individual, but for someone like me, I don't know what you guys do when you play games where you have like choices of how to behave. I tend to like play it a little bit nicer than, maybe the game allows, but playing as Trevor lets me off the leash to just be a total maniac with all these action figures in the Grand Theft Auto world and, try to land a helicopter on a skateboarder's head. And like get a gun and go on a train and just like snipe at traffic, like totally unhinged stuff. But that's the beauty of this game is it's a sandbox for you to play around in.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Chris, I don't know if you have any time. Could you answer a couple of calls if people want to talk to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's go to Bill in North Carolina. Bill, you're on with Chris Waters, author of The Gamer's Bucket List.
Hey, man. Just wanted to see it. This kind of reminded me of an old game I played in college called Conquer the Squirrel. I think it was an N64 game. That was an amazing game as well. I don't know if you had a chance to play that back in the day.
Oh, dude, Conker's Bad Fur Day. It's like,
Yes.
All right, back in the day, you had a bunch of these mascot platformers that are like, let's just jump around and collect a bunch of stuff and meet other furry creatures. And then Conker is the one who's like getting drunk, cussing, like trying to have sex with stuff and blowing stuff up with guns. It was such a breath of fresh air. So funny. Oh, yeah. Dude, great call.
All right, man.
All right, let's go to Dan in Florida. Dan, how are you?
Hey, guys. Are any of the Fallouts on this list?
That's another one that I was not able to get in there. That was like down to the wire whether I was going to put in Fallout 3 New Vegas. But it was before Fallout 4 came out, so I didn't know how that was going to be. So, alas, Fallout didn't make it in. We'll look at that for the next one.
All right, well, here's my real question.
Yeah.
And that is, this week, a brand new game has come out. It's one that I've been waiting for years to come out. It's been hyped up. It's called The Witness. And I'm really excited about it. And I don't know if you've heard anything about it and if you have any opinions on it.
So The Witness, yeah, man, I actually just started playing it a few nights ago. This game kind of harkens back to Myst. You guys familiar with that game?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you're on this sort of island, you're exploring, and there are these puzzle panels you come across. But whereas I remember Myst, like, I would get hung up and, like, have no idea what to do at certain points. This one is really great about, like, putting cues of like, oh, you always kind of have a new place to explore or a new sort of puzzle to solve. And it's beautiful colors and some intriguing sort of stuff hidden beneath the surface, which I haven't delved too far into. But yeah, by all accounts, The Witness is, there's a lot of people loving it right now, and I myself am just sort of scratching the surface.
Great. I'm really excited to download it this weekend. And that actually brings a similar thing like, the Shadow of Colossus or Ecos or any of those on that list as well. I'm really excited about the book. I'm like, really want to find out where I can get this book. So I want to see what's on your list.
Amazon,
Cool.
sir.
Well, yeah, you can get it on Amazon, no problem. They got the digital and physical copy there. Or if you live near Barnes & Noble, they have physical copies there, too. But to your question about Shadow of the Colossus, that was another near miss for me. That was on the final countdown. I had only a few slots left. That's one that I got to a little bit late. That's a game about where you're sort of this lone warrior on your horse in this vast empty land that's populated just by a few titanic creatures. And you have to kill all these colossuses, or colossi. And you climb up their side and poke them here, stab them here. You have to sort of figure them out like they're little puzzles. But a very starkly beautiful game, very beloved. So yeah, it was tough not to get that one in there.
Let's see. Let's go to Brad in Louisville. Brad, you there?
Yeah, guys, what's up?
Hey, man, how are you?
Hey, I just wanted to point out there was a great movie of a couple of the games that are on this list, I think, called Indie Game the Movie. I don't know if you guys had seen that. It's on Netflix.
No.
Dude, that one is so good. I think I gave that movie a shout out in the book, actually.
It really follows the entire launch of this game, how much goes into these. I think there's 3 different programmers and what they do to get their game off the ground, and great story arcs amongst all the people and all 3 different personalities. I think you can agree with me in the programmers.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a fascinating movie. A look at what it takes for 1 or 2 people to create a game and how, years and years of labor and uncertainty, but also ingenuity and determination and showing it off at this show or that show, and how people in the industry react to it, and then what it's like when it finally gets into the fans' hands. It's a great watch. Yeah, I definitely recommend it too. I'll echo your recommendation.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
No
Cool,
problem.
thank you.
Justin and Callie, you're on with Chris.
Hey, Chris. So I'm a little bit older than you guys, but the first game that really got me into gaming at all was on the PC. It was Duke Nukem. Does that in there?
Duke Nukem did not make the cut, although I do have a fond place in my heart for Duke Nukem 3D. Back in the day, you're shooting the police officers who have been turned into giant anthropomorphic pigs, and finding secrets in every level, and just Duke, like uttering all his time to kick ass and chew gum, and I'm all out of gum, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, your face, your ass, what's the difference? That was good for that. Those times, that was like the first big thing, yeah.
That was a fun one.
Somebody, I wanted to go to him, but he hung up. He was going to ask about why not Super Mario 64, because that seems to be the one that everybody says next to Mario Brothers 3 is like the best Mario game out there.
Super Mario 64 is an incredible game. That game blew my mind when I was playing it. Mario in 3 dimensions. Like, it really kind of underscored how Nintendo development studios are just so ingenious. And, like, there's a reason that Mario is so famous. It's because not just because he's been in so many games, but so many of them are so, so good. So the choice I made was to put in Super Mario Galaxy 2 instead of Mario 64, because it's a similar kind of like three-dimensional space movement and platforming that 64 pioneered, but Galaxy 2 just has the benefit of more recent hardware on the Wii and Wii U. The level designs are gorgeous and even more ingenious and varied than those in 64. And not to knock 64 by any stretch, but I just wanted to put something out there that was a little bit more easily accessible to the modern audience.
All right. Well, the book is called The Gamer's Bucket List. You can get it on Amazon and where most books are sold. It's the 50 video games to play before you die. We've been talking with Chris Waters. You can find him on Twitter and Instagram at CTWaters, WATTERS. Chris, thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it. There was so many people on hold here that wanted to ask about other games, but we can't just go through every known video game to man. So if you have questions, I'm sure Chris can answer them. CT Waters, that's Waters with 2 T's, on Twitter and Instagram. Write to him. And also, of course, go buy the book.
Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
No
Thank
problem,
you so much, Chris.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right, take it easy.